Remember when you went to the gym for the first time and you were like, okay, this is it. This is the moment. Everything changes. And you quit after about 2 or 3 months. Then 3 months later, you're back in there and you're like, all right, this is it. This is the moment. You might even have a friend who goes with you. This is when everything changes. And then you quit. And when you started, you're doing things with really bad form, like you're literally sitting there benching with your legs in the air and everything. You're not training legs at all. You're not training back at all. You're doing no isolations, or only isolations, which is even worse. At the moment when you started, you're like a little bit skinny fat, you're a little bit chubby, so you're like, okay, I need to cut. So you do 20 minutes every day on the treadmill before you start your workout. By the time you come to like doing your actual proper resistance training, you're just tired, you've no energy. Why? Because you spent like 20 minutes on the treadmill at the start of every session. You don't know how to count calories. Protein, never heard of her. These are all the mistakes that I made when I started my fitness journey back in, started back when I was 17. All those mistakes led me to make no progress for about 4 years. Yeah, so I'm going to be here to tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. So here are 5 mistakes that you are probably making right now if you're early on in your journey and you don't really have a clue or know much about fitness. Number 1, your mindset. So if you go back to the video I made, please watch this before you start lifting. I talk quite a bit about mindset. I talk quite a bit about that. From what I've realized, it's not quite enough to just say, oh, I want to be more fit. I want to get into the gym. You kind of have to have like a more masculine kind of attitude about it, where you go in and you have to be less emotional. That doesn't mean that you don't have any emotions. It just means you go and do your workout regardless of how you feel, how sad or unmotivated you feel. It's called cultivating the art of discipline. As I said in that video, the bodybuilder who's 10 years your senior, do you think he's like motivated to get up and do legs on a rainy day? No. Do you think I'm motivated to get up and train legs? Especially legs? No. I'd say there hasn't been a single leg day where I've actually wanted to work out. So that's the one part of your mindset, is just being more disciplined. The second part is, and this is a bit of a secret, but you kind of have to be a little bit more red pilled. Basically hate the way you look and want to improve and want the better life that comes with looking better. If you're just like going in and you're like, oh yeah, I love the way I look. If you're gonna go in and just be like, oh yeah, I love the way I look, but I'm just going in to be healthy, and it's like you're not really gonna stick to it. You're not really gonna make progress because, well, you've no goals. Like, you've nothing to make progress to. And sure, you can go in and it'll be nice and fun, and a bit of a cute habit of going in once a week or maybe twice a week, and then you'll quit and then you'll start again, and it'll never really truly be part of you. I'm talking about if you like want it to like really be a part of your character. Like if you really want to be a lifter, the kind of person who hasn't skipped a workout for about 3 years straight, unless it was like they were going on holidays, where like something's genuinely come up where they have to skip it, compared to someone who just floats in and floats out of the gym periodically, seasonally. All this to say, you can't be one of those, you know, body positivity motherfuckers and actually make a change. Like, you're not going to make meaningful change if you're one of them. Again, I went into a lot more detail about that kind of stuff in the other video that I talked about, so if you want, you can go ahead and watch that. So this point is, it's really important, because this is like the main thing that's going to hold you back. Like all the other stuff, it's like all the technical sort of lifting stuff. This is going to be like the one thing where if you don't get this right, you will never become consistent. All the other things are like technical things that you're probably going to overcome anyway, like realistically, with the more time you train. Number 2. Count your calories. Not counting your calories is one of the stupidest, biggest mistakes you can make. If you think you can just go about and like eating healthy without counting your calories and be like, oh yeah, like I'll figure out, I'll eat healthy. No. Sorry, you're not as smart as you think you are. If you don't track calories, like physically track the numbers, you're destined to fail. Because what's going to happen? Like realistically, if you're just kind of winging it and be like, oh yeah, I know if I'm eating healthy or not. Like what's going to happen? You're going to start coping. You're going to have one too many treats. You might start off well for the first couple of days. Day 3 rolls about. You're like, oh, I'll just have one treat. One treat won't make a difference realistically. Next day, 2 treats. The next day, oh, I'll have that extra bit of popcorn. Popcorn's healthy, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't have that physical number, that physical like accountability. Like whether you're trying to bulk up or cut down, you need to have that physical accountability. For bulking, if you're not counting your calories, you're going to cope and you're going to think that you're eating enough when you really aren't. Because like you don't realize how difficult, how difficult bulking is. How hard it is to like force feed yourself to a point of pain to try and hit like 4,000 calories. Like, do you realize how much that is? MyFitnessPal is a good app. You just give your weight, you give your height, you give your age, like your relative activity level, like how active your job is, if you're like sitting at a desk or if you're doing a lot of walking or moving. That's very good. And then yeah, it'll give you, based on your information, it'll give you like targets to hit based on if you want to gain weight, lose weight, how much per week you want to lose. It'll like give you a calorie target, and then you basically just log in all your foods and everything that you eat for the whole day. And as you log in, it's going to update the calorie number so you can, you know when you've hit it or when you're below it or when you've gone above it, where you want to go. So I've just been doing it manually on my calculator app, but either that or MyFitnessPal is fine. MyFitnessPal is great for some people. I just don't bother using it. Number 3, not counting your protein intake. Now, to build off of the last one, if you're trying to build muscle and you're not counting your protein and you think, oh, just counting my calories will be enough, you are also coping. The truth is, you don't know how much you're underdosing in protein until you actually count it. Like, we know how much important protein. You've probably heard like you want to aim for 2 grams of protein per kg of body weight in order to put your body in like a muscle building capacity. And like, to be honest, it's true. Protein is way more important than like the calorie surplus when it comes to building and actually putting on size and muscle. Because a calorie surplus with inadequate protein is going to mainly just put on fat. But to actually make sure the weight that you gain, that all of it is muscle, what do you need? You need to make sure you're hitting your protein targets. So if protein is more important than calories, then, and you're tracking calories, then it makes no sense to not then track the protein, right? So why would you ever cope and be like, oh yeah, I'm bulking, I'm trying to build muscle, I'm eating 3,500, 4,000 calories a day, surely there's enough protein in there, yeah, I'll be grand. It just makes no sense. Like, why would you cope like that if the protein is actually more important? You think, oh, if I'm eating 4,000 calories, I must be getting enough protein, right? No, you're not. For my first couple of years lifting, I made the mistake of not counting protein because I was coping and I was saying like, oh, I'm eating 4,000 calories a day, surely there's enough protein in there. Yeah, like 1.7 grams per kg, 2 grams per kg, yeah, that's 4,000 calories, surely it's got enough of that. And then I started counting the protein and counting how much I was eating, and I realized, holy crap, I was leaving so many gains on the table by not tracking my protein. I was underdosing hard, and then I realized how difficult it was to actually eat 2 grams of protein per kg of body weight. I mean, I still don't even hit that most of the time. Most of the time I just settle for like 1.6, 1.7 grams per kg because it's so difficult. So difficult, especially if you've like a job or something, or if you have to go to school. So yeah, start tracking protein and aim for 2 grams per kg of body weight. Number 4, you're not watching the contraction. When it comes to muscle, it's not actually the weight that you need to look out for. It's the contraction. Like when you're lifting, it doesn't actually matter so much how heavy it is. If you're like, obviously, I'm assuming you're not some fat power lifter. I'm assuming you actually want to build muscle and not just get strong for no reason. So when you're actually trying to build muscle, it's not like the weight you're pushing isn't important nearly as much as like the quality of the contraction you're getting. So when it comes to muscle hypertrophy, it's contraction over weight. This is pretty much very well established. I think Ronnie Coleman had like a speech or made a video talking about this very thing. If you watch like some of the more credible fitness influencers, especially on YouTube, they'll tell you the exact same thing. like, who gives a crap how much the weight is? You're not trying to maximize for strength. You're maximizing for hypertrophy and aesthetics. So you got to make sure you're getting a full controlled contraction, and you're going until failure. So until you physically can't push anymore. You don't want to do that for all your sets, but for at least, definitely the last set of any exercise you're doing, it's got to be till failure. And how do you get like the most optimal contraction? Well, first of all, you got to make sure you have the proper form for any exercise you're doing. So whichever exercise you want to look into, obviously online, there'll be pictures and videos of like the proper form and telling you what proper position to get into. So I know for bench, you kind of have to make sure that your back is a little bit arched and that your arms are well spaced out and that your feet are obviously planted to the ground. I know some people would recommend putting your feet on the bench, and I wouldn't recommend, just stick to basics. But yeah, make sure you look up the proper form for whatever like exercise that you're going to do. And then you want a slow and controlled contraction, especially the eccentric. So the contraction has two parts. You have the concentric, which is the part where the muscle's actually contracting, and then the eccentric, which is the non-contraction part, where the muscle is like stretching or like relaxing. So for bench, again, the concentric is the contraction part, so when you push up, and then the eccentric is when the muscle is stretching, so when it's going down, that's the eccentric. So you want to make sure that part is really slow and controlled when the bar is coming back down towards you. And then you want to stop and pause for about 1 or 2 seconds at the bottom to make sure that that eccentric, that stretch, is well and truly like kind of set in and it's fully controlled. Number 5, not training the right muscles. If you want to start looking more aesthetic, you got to make sure you train the right muscles to build an actual aesthetic physique. Those muscles like the lateral delts, the lats, the pecs, the abs, they're what optimize for aesthetics, so you actually look like a bodybuilder, not some powerlifting motherfucker. So for your shoulders, you want to prioritize the lateral delts, and you do that by doing obviously your lateral raises. For your chest, it's your upper pecs, and you want to do your incline bench specifically. For your lats, it's your lat pull down and your pull-ups, specifically pull-ups, different variations, different grips, work different parts of it. Obviously biceps and triceps, you've got your bicep curls, your tricep push downs. I started doing the overhead tricep extensions, which are kind of been proven recently to be more effective than your standard tricep push down. Then for your abs, you've got obviously your hanging leg raises, your different variations of crunches, your planks, so many more to choose from. For the abs though, the most important thing is just to have a low body fat percentage so that they can actually show. Doesn't matter how much you train them if you've got a big belly. And then, you're gonna hate me, I know, legs. Just so you don't look weird and top heavy, no one wants that. These are the main mistakes you're probably making. Make sure you click the like button, stay subbed, and I'll see you later. Bye!
The fear no beat up keeps going.